That's part of the danger when you're smoking cigars. You got loose tobacco, kind of flies around, shirt gets all dirty. Can't have that. You know what I mean? My word. Oh jeez. I got stuff everywhere. I'm brightly colored enough today, uh, but at least it's not raining and it's nice and cool outside. We got some pretty cool weather going on here, and I say that because I've decided the rain itself is pretty uncool. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. It fits in with my Aesop's Fable for this episode. But I am brightly colored orange today. You're going to hear some shooting in the background. We have some training going on up at the pistol range. We got a good group up there training today, so I'm brightly colored. So as I move back and forth, kind of in a support role, um, I'm easy to see. That's I feel like that's a good thing. Not that I'm hard to miss. There they go. You're gonna hear that in the background. And look, it's a shooting range. That's part of it. It's what we do out here. And so those guys are up there training. I'm down here doing a little coffee at the creek. I'm smoking an Alec Bradley Sun Grown. Again, I like keeping these around. You know, I've mentioned before I like the Corona size, and these are kind of a quick smoke. And that's one of the reasons I keep these around, and I really enjoy them. And you know, they're not too much, and they're just right. They're just right. hmm And they go good with a cup of Horn and Hard Arts here. If you haven't looked up Horn and Hard Arts, I think you should check them out. Highly recommend it. There's a great documentary about Horn and Hard Arts, and their coffee has been resurrected, and it's some of the best coffee I've ever had. This is fantastic. You don't want to miss out on that. That's good stuff. Today I'm having Horn and Hard Arts prepared in the cowboy coffee route. Kind of a redirection here. I'm doing cowboy coffee with the Horn and Hard Arts first because the next episode will be our last episode for this particular season of Coffee at the Creek, kind of the spring season, and we'll take a little summer break. We do have a cool special coming out over the summer. I'm not going to give you any details about that. You'll see it sometime in July, and then we'll pick back up in the fall with some more episodes of Coffee at the Creek. So I did the cowboy coffee this time, and I'm going to tell you. So we did the pecan and the blueberry. We got the Horn and Hard Arts. The pecan and the blueberry, like, it changed a lot between whether it was from a percolator or a coffee machine or cowboy coffee. And the Horn and Hard Arts is exactly the darn same. It doesn't taste any different. I mean, there might be a little bit stronger coffee taste from the cowboy coffee method, but outside of that, it's exactly the same, and that's kind of as expected, right? Mm, damn, that's a good stogie. That's kind of as expected, and I have a feeling the percolator might actually have a little bit more flavor to it than even the cowboy coffee. Just a feeling I've got. We'll see. We'll see how that turns out. I do want to open today. I'm not going to go right into Aesop's Fable. I want to talk a little bit about the rain here in the Ozarks. Um, Once again, we're still a little bit behind. Just in general, out here at the creek, we're a little bit behind. We're still working on getting everything complete over here, right next to me at the clay stand, and that's because we've had a hard time pouring concrete. So we poured some concrete. We weren't totally finished. We had to pour some more concrete. We got the machine installed and realized that we needed a little bit of adjustment in how we poured the concrete. So we had to remove the machine, and we had to re-pour a portion of the concrete. And this is just how it goes. I mean, who installs a clay machine every day? Like, there's just not. I mean, it's not a thing that everybody does every day. And we don't do anything halfway here. Um, and we're going to do a lot of testing with the machine before we open it up to members. But that's coming, and it's coming fairly quickly. But we We are waiting for some concrete now to dry that was poured before the last round of rain to come in. And it's pretty well dry and it's pretty well ready to reset the machine. And we think this should be the last time we have to set the machine. Twice is enough. So we're going to reset the machine in the coming couple of weeks, and then we'll start in and doing some testing. We're on the home stretch. We're on the back side of this now, and once we get the machine in and set, it's literally a matter of just we're going to plug it in and we're going to start throwing clays and testing the machine and getting it programmed, and that's not going to take a very long time. We still hope, over the summer to open up clays to the membership. So that's coming. That's something we're working on. We're going to get there. So I want to give you an update on that. And then before we go into, I have a couple of things I want to go into before we go into our fable for this week. Um, I subscribe to, and I'm a pretty big fan of the USCCA, United States Concealed Carry Association. There's lots of other associations, Gun Rights for America, several others, but I like USCCA because it's specifically concealed carry based, and I like reading. They have a magazine that comes out, just Concealed Carry magazine, and it comes out I don't know, a few times a year, 6 times a year, I think, something like that. And they had a great article. I like reading the articles. They do a lot of articles just about concealed carry specific stuff. There's one in here about how much gun do you really need. Great article. And it very much comes back to personal preference, I think. Um, it talks about there's some other articles in here about avoiding, evading, and preparing for violence, and it deals with public disputes, right? So pretty good. So the article that I'm referring to, May June issue, it's called Risk Profiles, and literally it's about different professions specifically that might be targeted by a criminal um, element. And one of the things they talk about in here is there's is you could spend an awful lot of time and effort listing out all the risks that us here in modern America that we face, and but there's been a lot of studies done. They've done some studies and information out there that would point to um, we as individuals should look at the risk that we are most likely to face in the course of our work day, um, because many of us spend a large portion of our waking hours in a working environment. And I like that they went over a lot of professions. They went over a lot of how not to, or how to manage your lifestyle so that you're not broadcasting, right? That you might be a target one way or another. Um, but there's a couple of things that they talk about specific professions, and the number one that they talk about, the number one profession that they talk about is real estate agents. Um, and they state that it's one of the fastest growing demographics in concealed carry. And many of you may know that Ken and I, not only are we the owners of Thorpe Creek Private Shooting Range, and not only are we the primary instructors for Thorpe Creek firearms training, we are also realtors. We work a lot on the development side of things. We do some residential, we do some commercial, and we're very involved in the industry in general. We represent a lot of clients, and we're involved in the sale of a lot of property. And we often do meet people that we don't know, and we might be meeting them at a house. We might be meeting them at a commercial property. We might be meeting them at vacant land. And one of the things, obviously, Ken and I both carry. It is something that we're passionate about, and we're passionate about teaching people about it. And then we also follow the rule of two. So if we are showing to a new client and we don't know them, maybe we haven't met them before, you do not go alone. Two people, and that's for our team. And we have, that's not a hard conversation to have. One of our agents or Ken and I, hey, I need somebody to go with me to this showing. Are you available? And they accompany you. And then we also we use an app. We collect a base amount of information from people, and if they're not willing to provide that information, then we're not willing to represent them. And when they provide us that information, we have access to an app that will find that person and tell us what we need to know about them. So I like that they have this article in here, and they talk a lot about how to, as a realtor, what you need to know about concealed carry. Of course, they encourage it. Um, I do like that one of the things he says in here is two points that he makes. Is that in this industry, 65% of the people that are working in this industry are female. And two, he states that if you're not a broker, and if you are a broker and you're not carrying, it's none of my business. But I would encourage you to look into it. And I like how he puts that, because it's the same way I would put it. I encourage you to look into it. If you're not carrying, if you haven't been trained, I encourage you to look into it. And one of the ways you can look into it is to contact us. Our phone number's at the end of this video. It's all over our Facebook page. It's all over our website, thorpecreek.com. And if you'll call us, and you're a realtor out there, I don't care if I have a class going or not. I'll bring you in a small group of your friends. I'll bring you in a small group of other realtors, whatever, and I'll get you trained, and I'll get you a concealed carry permit, and we'll go over all laws and rules and everything with you. Because I encourage everybody to carry, but I especially encourage realtors to carry. And you can get on and do some Googling. As I've committed this vital sin that I espouse all the time, I've talked too much and let my cigar go out. But we encourage you to carry and to protect yourself, to know the rules and the laws, and to get trained. And we'll hook you up with a membership here so you never have to worry about that again. So, off my soapbox, let's talk about lake levels. I want to bring this up because it goes into our Aesop's fables. We complain quite often. We were in drought mode here for a while, and we didn't like that. And then we get all this rain, and I was just going through, and there was a couple of articles that local news outlets, KY3 and a couple of others, had put out, and there was some stuff on the Facebooks, and just some folks that I've heard some comments from, about the fact that all this rain, and it's gonna flood, and they're gonna open the gates at Table Rock, and Bull Shoals is at floodplain level, and all the capacity numbers getting talked about, and I'm going to give you my feedback on that. One, we're not anywhere near the 2011 levels. And by anywhere near, I mean we're inches and inches away from that. Like, we need a lot more rain to come in. We're pretty late in the season for that. Not that we might not get it, but March, April, it's more likely. We've had a lot of days of rain, but nothing like we had in 2011 or 15. I just looked up the precipitation numbers. The precipitation numbers, we didn't have that much in March, 1.96. April, we had 11.3. And May, the full numbers aren't out yet, but so far we haven't had 11. And the record was 15, right at about 15 inches. And that's going way back to 2011, right? Another item I looked at was what, when we came out of the drought, kind of where we headed. And one of the things they talked about was Um, April specifically, this was just the fifth wettest April um, in the past 131 years, and for the year. So this is January to April of 25. It's only the 18th wettest January to April of 2025. So I feel like we're okay. I did read today that I think further downstream they're about 90% of the pool, but Table Rock really isn't all that high, about 35% of the pool. So and I don't think there's any gates open right now. They had some gates open. They were doing a release. Um, they've been generating, but they haven't gone much above what the generation amount was for what they typically expel from Table Rock downstream when they're generating. So it really has not been that big, and we're not. I don't think we're going to see any flooding. We've got a little bit of weather coming in later this week, but then going into June, we have a pretty dry period coming up, and temps are going to be like in the 80s. Here's what I think is great about that: Table Rock. There's going to be some great boating and great fishing all up and down the basin. But Table Rock's going to be great for boating this summer, and I think that's great for our local economy. It's going to draw a lot of people here, and I think we're all going to be able to have a great. I think it's going to be a little warm this summer. They're saying, but I think we're going to have a great summer. So let's uh, let's do our Aesop's fable for this episode. A miller and his son were driving their ass to a fair. On the way, they met a troop of girls. "Look there," cried one of them. "Did you ever see such fools? To be trudging along on foot when they might be riding?" The old man, hearing this, quietly bade his son to get on the ass and walked along merrily by his side. Presently they came to a group of old men in earnest debate. "There," said one of them, "it proves what I was saying. What respect is shown to old age in these days? Do you see that idle young rogue riding while his old father has to walk? Get down, you scapegrace. Let the old man rest his weary limbs." Upon this, the father made his son dismount and got up himself. In this manner, they had not proceeded far when they met a company of women and children. "Why, you lazy old fellow," cried several tongues at once, "how can you ride upon the beasts while that poor little lad there can hardly keep pace by the side of you?" The good natured miller immediately took his son behind him. They had now almost reached the town. "Pray, honest friend," said a townsman, "is that ass your own?" "Yes," says the old man. "Oh, one would not have thought so by the way you load him down. Why, you two fellows are better able to carry the poor beast than he you." "Anything to please you," said the old man. So, alighting with his son, they tied the ass's legs together, and by the help of a pole endeavored to carry him on their shoulders over a bridge. The people ran out in crowds to laugh at the sight, till the ass, not liking the noise nor his situation, kicked asunder the cords, tumbled off the pole, and fell into the river. Upon this, the old man made the best of his way home with his son, convinced that by endeavoring to please everybody, he had exceeded in pleasing nobody, and lost his ass to the bargain. The moral of this, obviously, being that by endeavoring to please everybody, one succeeds in pleasing nobody. And this is one of my favorites, and this is going to be the last fable that we kind of discuss. But my favorite portion of this is that last sentence, that by endeavoring to please everybody, he succeeded in pleasing no one, and he lost his ass in the bargain. An ass, of course, referring to a donkey, right? And this is my favorite of Aesop's fables, and I really think it holds true to what we just discussed, uh, specifically about the rain and the weather. And I think that's a great moral that by attempting to please everyone, you succeed in pleasing no one.